It's finally happening. AI is coming for our numbers.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by The Economist, devoted to providing independent journalism that makes sense of the news shaping the world. More at economist.com or with The Economist app, newsletters, and podcasts.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. There is a new economic indicator in town. This one analyzes the U.S. economy in real time, and it is powered by artificial intelligence. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer has details.
This new tool is called the Zeta Economic Index. The free index uses AI to track and analyze consumer behavior and then crunches that data to assess the state of the economy and try to predict economic trends. Zeta says it analyzes transaction data from 240 million Americans. It looks at what they're researching and spending their money on. It tracks broad categories like automotive, entertainment, financial services, healthcare, retail, tech, and travel. Zeta has two parts: a score on the current state of the economy measured by consumer activity, and a score measuring the overall health of the economy. Its June report shows an active and stable economy. Zeta says the idea is to track conditions in real time. Standard economic indicators like the unemployment and inflation rates are backward-looking. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the analog numbers with music composed by a human. Dow futures down 0.3%, S&P futures down 0.4%, Nasdaq futures down 0.5%. The news agency Reuters is reporting that regulators in France are set to level antitrust charges against NVIDIA, the computer chip maker that has quickly become one of the world's most valuable companies amid an artificial intelligence boom. A key issue appears to be software bundled with the hardware. Marketplace's Nova Safo explains.
Antitrust charges against NVIDIA from French regulators are imminent, according to Reuters. Charges would be the result of a broad inquiry in that country over how cloud computing companies operate. NVIDIA has some 80% of the global market share for the types of advanced, powerful chips needed to run AI tools. But it also dominates in the software infrastructure needed to build those tools. In a report issued last week, France's antitrust watchdog cited that software platform called Compute Unified Device Architecture, or CUDA. Like Apple's or Google's mobile operating systems, critics say CUDA has locked AI developers into an ecosystem. U.S. regulators are reportedly also investigating NVIDIA. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
More now on the EU saying a subscription service introduced last year by Meta, Facebook, Instagram violates Europe's Digital Markets Act. The DMA applies to 7 gatekeeper companies, including Meta. Marketplace's Lily Jamali has more.
Meta's subscription service gave Instagram and Facebook users in Europe a choice between seeing ads or paying not to. The latter option cost more than the equivalent of $10 a month, part of the company's push to comply with the 27-nation bloc's new data privacy rules. EU regulators Monday called it a pay or consent scheme, but in a statement, Meta said its approach complies with the law, adding it looked forward to further constructive dialogue with the European Commission to bring the investigation to a close. The preliminary finding is the latest in a regulatory crackdown by the EU, which has recently leveled charges against Apple and Microsoft for alleged anti-competitive behavior. I'm Lily Jamali for Marketplace.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab, helping people invest in ideas they believe in with Schwab investing themes, with more than 40 themes to choose from. More at schwab.com. And by How We Survive, a podcast from Marketplace. Climate change is dire, but there are ways we can make a difference. Listen to the new season of How We Survive wherever you get your podcasts.
4 western states are paying farmers and ranchers tens of millions of dollars to conserve water this year. It's part of a short-term plan to save water from the Colorado River, which has been shrinking given 2 decades of drought. But some are skeptical that the federally funded program is worth the money. From KUNC, Alex Hager reports.
During the growing season on Leslie Hagenstein's ranch near Pinedale, Wyoming, typically water flows in and the fields come to life. But last season, her fields were desolate.
Last year, it looks like Armageddon. There's just no growth at all. There's no green. Everything is brown.
But these barren fields aren't the result of drought. Hagenstein left the fields dry on purpose. She signed up for the System Conservation Pilot Program.
I made 13 times more money in one summer than I had the previous summer. It's black and white. It's money in your pocket.
The payments are part of a years-long experiment, a way for the government to see if it works to pay farmers and ranchers to hit pause on using water from the overtaxed river. Elizabeth Cobley researches water policy at the University of Nevada, Reno. She says money used for the program could be spent differently.
Perhaps we need to be thinking about, rather than temporary conservation, investments in longer-term conservation beyond what we're already doing.
Between 2023 and 2024, the program spent $45 million to save a little more than 1% of the Colorado River water allocated to the upper basin.
I'm hesitant to keep pushing for temporary conservation. I think we have pretty clear climate signals that say the basin's aridifying and we need big reductions to water use.
Regardless of how much water it's saving, proponents of the program say the real value lies elsewhere. Better data on how to sell the idea of water conservation to farmers. Important since 80% of the Colorado River is used for agriculture. Chuck Cullum directs the Upper Colorado River Commission, which runs the program.
We're learning a lot from the program, that in the event that people want to stand up a longer term durable program, these lessons learned will make that more robust.
But the future might look different when it comes to money. Funding for the conservation program came out of the Inflation Reduction Act, which set aside $4 billion for Colorado River work. Now, water managers are trying to figure out if they'll have the money and the information to save water on farms in the long term for a river that needs every drop it can get. In Sublette County, Wyoming, I'm Alex Hager for Marketplace.
An update now on Biden administration efforts to ease student loan repayments for some. A federal appeals court says the Education Department can go ahead with its SAVE plan in cases where the cuts in repayments have already been calculated. This from a federal appeals court. New applications are still on hold given another lower court decision. Some Republican-led states have sued to stop the administration from easing loans based on a formula tied to a borrower's discretionary income. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio. This is the Marketplace Morning Report. From 8 p.m., American Public Media.